Alright, good evening. My name is Cody Visser-Johnston, and I'm going to be talking to you about Christian and gospel music, the history and practices. So to start off, the idea of worship through music has existed practically since the beginning of its introduction into culture, with diverse groups honoring their deities through sound and musical performances. Many peoples have firmly believed that their gods were pleased by extravagant displays of worship, which often included heavy musical elements and unique styles. Over time, these displays and styles found their way into religious revivals during the mid-1800s and helped fuel urban revivalism during the last third of the century. Gospel music became synonymous with missionary activity and spread to churches all over the globe. By the mid-20th century, gospel had morphed into its own brand of popular song, appearing in live performances and concerts all around and separate from any religion. The hymns of gospel can be considered the culmination of various American cultural developments from the 19th century, being foreshadowed by several compilations and later transforming into the highly popular genre we know today. So essentially, while worship music began to materialize into its own unique style in the mid-19th century, its roots can be traced all the way back to the first settlers during the colonial era. The Spanish sang gospel songs in the Roman Catholic Church in what is now the southwestern United States and Mexico, and published books translating chants from Latin during the 1500s. In addition, European settlers in the original 13 colonies brought along new forms of music that emerged during the Reformation. Both Calvinists and Lutherans created new psalm tunes which gradually evolved over a long period of time into hymns, the main difference being the Lutherans used the organ and orchestral instruments, while the Calvinists sang metrical poems without any background music. And then during the 16 and 1700s, gospel progressed in parallel to what was occurring in England during this time. The biggest change was an increase in tempo, known as the New Way, as opposed to the psalm tunes sung at a slower tempo in the Old Way. Later, singing instructors began instructing classes and standardizing the way that gospel songs were performed. The two main categories of gospel music are considered to be white and black, since both have key differences and unique development paths, which can be broken down into several eras. During the middle of the 19th century, the primary place for which it developed were Sunday schools, due to their popularity of teaching gospel to children. One of the earliest composers of this style was William B. Bradbury, who created compilations of the ever-expanding genre. Other artists who helped pioneer these were Robert Laurie and William Howard Duane, who collaborated to create some of the most popular styles like Pure Gold and Brightest and Best. This style continued after the Civil War with the advent of stronger styles such as hymns by William James Kirkpatrick, Jesus Saves, which closely resembled Civil War marches. Other songs became more popular, including one by Alicia Hoffman, which became the marching song for the Salvation Army. As Reconstruction commenced, hymn saw its movement towards religious music prominent in the U.S. during the revivals led by evangelist Dwight L. Moody and his associate Ira D. Sankey, which also became heavily associated with the YMCA. Other popular composers included Stevens and Towner, who produced over 2,000 songs and headed up a music department in the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago in the last decade of the 1800s. And then the beginning of the 20th century saw mass revivalism with many evangelicals following in the footsteps of Moody and others, such as Charles McCollum, Alexander, and Home Rotehever. During World War I, gossip saw the decline of herbal revivalism and significant dry spell of artists like Billy Graham in the 1950s. And then as time progressed, black gospel music appeared in line with ragtime, blues, and jazz, and was part of the rise of Pentecostal churches at the end of the 1800s. Their style merged from both black and white sources and were mainly composed by slaves during meetings in the early 1800s. And then towards the second half of the 20th century, more prominent artists began to make a transition away from only gospel to popular culture. And I personally know several people that spend a great deal of time in churches singing to white and black gospel music alike, and celebrated the genre extensively, which is why I believe that gospel is an essential part of music history in America.